This week in Louisiana agriculture.
Louisiana's young farmers and ranchers come here to the nation's capital to have their voices heard. However, with sequestration in place, can anything be done about the issues they've brought up? I'm Avery Davidson with that story ahead.
I'm AJ Sabine here in our nation's capital, and I have the story of how Washingtonians have embraced the food truck movement, but with a Louisiana flair.
And the Louisiana Radio Network names its annual Farmer of the Year. Hello everyone, I'm Michael Dana. Thanks for joining us on this special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. This week our program comes to you from the studios of the American Farm Bureau Federation in our nation's capital. Young farmers and ranchers from Louisiana spent last week visiting with members of the state's congressional delegation. The top issues: immigration reform, spending cuts to the nation's farm bill, and increasing government regulations. Those young farmers and ranchers say federal regulations are driving up production costs and in turn costing you more at the grocery store. This week in Louisiana Agriculture's Avery Davidson begins our Capitol Hill coverage by showing us why it's becoming more and more difficult these days to be a young person in agriculture.
The weather outside the U.S. Capitol may reflect how many Americans feel about the men and women in Congress. That did not cool the warm welcome Louisiana Farm Bureau's young farmers and ranchers received as they visited Congressman Dr. Bill Cassidy.
I'm here from the federal government to help you.
Cassidy knows those words send chills down a farmer's back, especially after he hears from Caddo cattleman Marty Woldridge about how new rules from the Environmental Protection Agency could shut down his 800-acre ranch.
Although Congress will do its best to stop EPA from doing something foolish, if the president directs them to do something foolish, they'll do something foolish.
There's never a stopping point.
After Woldridge shared his story with his congressman, Dr. John Fleming echoed Cassidy's sentiment.
We have regulatory agencies that are willy-nilly creating thousands of new regulations without any rhyme or reason or purpose, going right past Congress without Congress even giving it a nod or even, in many cases, having a hearing or knowing about it before it's implemented.
When you can come up here and give them a real-life example of how it negatively or positively affects your operation, I think it goes a long way.
They seem to be receptive to what we have to say, and we have a pretty good delegation in Louisiana, and it seems like we're getting through.
While these visits give young farmers and ranchers a chance to tell their representatives about the issues they're facing out on their farms, it also gives congressmen and senators a chance to let these young farmers and ranchers know what is causing delays for issues such as the Farm Bill.
When things are going by inertia, then those that are swallowing the budget will continue to swallow. If you can say, wait a second, no, the Farm Bill is too important, we can't let it be swallowed by other things, it has a fighting chance to get passed.
And with the chill of a stalemate in Congress, Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson says there needs to be compromise.
The Democrats can't be always right or always wrong. The Republicans can't always be right or always wrong. So there's got to be some blending there. You know, back in the past, we had the John Bros and the Blue Dog Democrats that would work together and they found ways to compromise. We need more of that.
Otherwise, the future for these young farmers and ranchers may be frozen in bureaucracy. At the U.S. Capitol, I'm Avery Davidson for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
One of those issues you heard those young farmers and ranchers talk about was the Spill Prevention, Control, and Countermeasures rule from the EPA. Federal officials say they will begin enforcing that rule May 10th. We'll have a more detailed story about the SPCC rule on next week's program.